Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Hopefully this video finds you in good health across this entire pandemic, and I hope everyone that's impacted can rebound very quickly. I wanted to make a video today talking about the 5 features about the Ford Raptor that I absolutely hate. So this is my list of things that I don't like about the Raptor. I've wanted to make this video for quite some time now, but the reason why I've held off is because I wanted to actually take some time with the truck to really nitpick and add and subtract things to the list of things that I don't like about owning a Ford Raptor, because for the longest time this has been my dream truck, and when I finally got it, I didn't want to just jump into the 5 things that I hate within the first couple weeks to kind of clickbait people into the most obvious things that everyone seems to gripe about with these trucks. Everyone seems to automatically harp about it sounding like a V6, or the fact that it has poor fuel mileage, or the fact that it comes with auto start stop. All of those obvious things you can pick up from a traditional review style video, something that Doug DeMuro might do, or the OG Sab Kyle might do, or Rady's Ride, or one of those redline review style reviews where it's more of a salesman style pitch going through the ins and out of the truck. Those are all things that you're going to pick up, but I wanted this video to be unique and specific to what somebody that actually owns a Raptor is going to complain about. And before I get into this list, I just want to say that this has been my dream truck for the better half of the last decade, and to have owned it for almost a year now, I absolutely love the experience. And so these are just nitpicking the little things that might stick out. They might irritate you once you buy the truck that you might not have thought about before buying the truck. And before I jump into this video, if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to build a YouTube platform, so a subscribe would go a definite long way into helping me legitimize this channel. If you like this video and you like this content and you want to see some other Raptor content, definitely check out the rest of the channel and give this video a big thumbs up if you like what the content is. And if anything, let me know in the comment section below that you were here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the video and about the truck and what you like about the Raptor, and if you agree with the list of 5 things that I'm going to cover in this video. So the first thing on my list of things that I hate about the Raptor is the actual stance of the truck. And what I mean by that specifically is the fact that the Raptor has a very aggressive rake from the rear end going to the front end. If you're familiar with the rest of the Ford lineup, the Super Duty in 2020 came out with a tremor package, which is basically a factory leveling kit from Ford, which it really bothers me because I think Ford should have introduced that in the Raptor well before the Super Duty got it. Most review style videos are going to show you the truck from this angle going that way, which you really can't tell the rake apart from. But after owning it for a while and packing up into my driveway, when I walk out in the morning, what I see is this, which you can see really right now, is the front end dips down, and for some reason that just kind of takes away from the aggressive look of the truck, and I would rather prefer this truck have a little bit of leveling kit. Ford does this specifically for aerodynamics, and the reason behind that is this is a big wide truck. You can see the fenders have a lot of spots where air can pocket along the side, so what they don't want is additional air drag, so they want to bring down the air resistance coefficient. So basically they introduce this kind of rake to allow air to hit the front of the vehicle and then bounce right over the top of the vehicle, and to do that they obviously introduce shutters into the grille. You can see in the camera there are shutters back there behind the grille which kind of close and open to kind of help the aerodynamics of the vehicle as you're driving down the highway, that allow the vehicle to maximize fuel efficiency with the reduction of air drag coefficient. And I totally get that, but personally for me, I've owned trucks my entire life, and so for what this truck gets for mileage, everyone complains about it, but I absolutely love the mileage they get on this truck. I get somewhere between 17-16 miles per gallon average highway and city. I drove an F-350 that got 12 miles per gallon on a good day. What doesn't help the suspension rake that you see in these Raptor trucks is the fact that the rear wheel well doesn't come with a factory wheel well liner. And so what I mean by that is in the front you have a wheel well liner that blacks it out, but in the rear it's body color. So if you have a lighter colored truck, what ends up happening is the gap between the tire and the fender seems a little bit wider visually to the eye because this doesn't blend in. And now you can get an aftermarket Husky setup for it. It's about 125 bucks, which I think is a great ad, but I wish Ford had done that from the factory. The second thing on my list of things that I hate about the Ford Raptor is the not so smart keyless access system. And what I mean by that is when you grab the front door handle, the doors are going to trigger a lock or unlock. There I go ahead, and that's going to unlock it. My grip is the fact that smart access technology doesn't exist on the rear grab handle. So if the doors are locked, I can't actually get in here because these are locked and this doesn't trigger the unlock. I'd have to come over here and grab the front handle and then go ahead and open the rear, which is one of those things that I just wish Ford had accounted for. I had an Expedition Max Platinum prior to this truck. In the Expedition Max Platinum, they had the smart keyless access system trigger on all 4 door handles, which will unlock all the doors simultaneously. And it's one of those nice things to have. It's something that exists in Ford's lineup, but I think they kind of cut corners on this case because the Super Cab and the Crew Cab can share the same wiring harness if it doesn't have the smart keyless access system, since this has a handle on the outside. Alright guys, so now moving inside, the third thing on my list of things that I hate about owning the Ford Raptor is the fact that you can't engage the rear wheel locker in 2-wheel drive. What I mean by that is basically when you engage the rear locker, what ends up happening is you get this message in here that says that the rear locking differential, let me go press that again to bring that message up. the locking differential is not available in 2 high. So what that means is you have to be in 4 auto, 4 high, or 4 low to engage the rear locker. So if you really want to kind of have fun with the Raptor and you want to put the 2-wheel drive with the lockers engaged in the rear and have the differential locked, then you really can't do that. The benefit of engaging the rear locker in 2-wheel drive is if you want to fishtail the rear end and drift around and have some fun, especially in the snow, you really can't do that unless you're in 4-wheel drive. If you have the rear differential locked in 4-wheel drive, then at that point you really can't kick the rear end out because you have too much traction with the front wheels gripping as well as rear wheels gripping. So it kind of takes a little bit away from the fun. And I know you can do this in the Lariat and the Super Duty trucks, so I'm not sure why they took it away from the Raptor, but it's definitely something that's high on my list of things that I hate about the truck. So the fourth item on my list about things that I hate about the Ford Raptor is actually a bucket item list. And these are things that kind of made their way into my list of things I hate about the Raptor, but I didn't think that they deserved their own spot on the list. So it's kind of bucketing all the creature comfort things, the little missteps that Ford made that I think they could have done better to really exemplify the experience of owning a Ford Raptor. One of the missed creature comforts on the Ford Raptor is the fact that this is a $75,000 truck. So this is more expensive than the Lariat and Limited, and for some reason you only have 2-way adjustable lumbar support, but nothing vertical. So it's all just in and out. You can get lumbar support on the lower part of the seat, but you can't vertically adjust it. So you can't actually get it to the perfect position for you. At the same time, on the most expensive Ford F-150 in the lineup, it would have been nice if they introduced massaging or multi-contour seats with the seat package. Even if it costs a little bit more money, I think that would have allowed them to resolve both the lumbar support issue that I have, as well as give an additional feature to the top end Raptor trim. I had the multi-contour seats in the Ford Expedition Max Platinum prior to this, and they weren't something that is a deal breaker for me, but they were nice to have. They were basically airbags that were in the lower part of the seat and the back part of the seat. That's how they could adjust the lumbar to a much more specific point as opposed to just in and out, which is really limited in how you can adjust it. Next on my list of things that I don't like about the Raptor is the fact that they took something away in 2019 that is actually never talked about, and they brought it back in 2020. So it seems like 2019 was this like drop year where they ended up either cutting corners, or what their reasoning was, I'm quite not sure. But the fact is that you can actually adjust the ambient light colors on the inside, which is something the Expedition had prior to this, and it's not, again, another deal breaker, but it's one of those little things where it's like, why did Ford do that? There's some wiring things that are a little wonky with the 2019 model year, namely the instruction manual that you have in the glove box. The wirings that it gives you for the upfitter switches doesn't actually match the wiring that's actually part of the truck, and so what that does is you kind of have to test all the wires. So there's something that's different in the 2019 model year where it seems like they took away certain features and they kind of didn't have their wiring in check, so it just feels a little bizarre, but definitely something that I wish I would have had. If you have kids, they really do love the ambient lighting to be able to change that color. And while we're here, one of the things that drives me absolutely batshit crazy is the fact that there isn't a dedicated button in the control stack here for the climate buttons that lets you control the heated steering wheel. You can see there's nothing there, as well as there's nothing on the actual steering wheel itself that lets you control that. The only way that you can actually turn on and off the heated steering wheel is if you go into the climate menu, and you would think they have a spot for the button right here as well, but there's an additional click that you have to make into the menu before you actually get to the button that turns on the heated steering wheel. And it's not about turning the heated steering wheel on, but it's the fact that in the wintertime, what ends up happening is when you remote start it, or you start it up in general, the heated steering wheel comes on with the heat controls. After the first 5 or 6, 7 miles, once you kind of have the interior temperature up to where you want it to be, you want to shut off the heated steering wheel because it starts creating like a bunch of sweat between your hand and the steering wheel, and it's just not a great experience. I've never been a huge fan of heated steering wheels, even in the Escalated Expedition prior to this. So it's one of those things where in the Expedition, they had a dedicated button right in the heat control stack, somewhere right over there, which allowed you to basically shut off the heated steering wheel with the press of one button, as opposed to 3 clicks through the menu. Another thing to fit into my bucket list of things that I hate about the Ford Raptor, and I know I said 5 and I'm just kind of going on and on, but hopefully you guys like the little things that I'm picking out here, is the actual contour in the windshield. And you're not going to have anyone actually talk about this, but my problem with this windshield is the amount of arc that they give it to help it be a little bit more aerodynamic really messes up your ability to tint the top 6 inches of the windshield. Basically what I mean by that is when you're tinting the windshield in the Ford F-150, specifically the Raptor, but it applies to all the F-150s in the Expedition, the center part of the windshield, because of the aggressive arc to the end, if you want to actually have a functional windshield tint brown in the front of your windshield, 6 inches over on the right side translates to closer to somewhere around 12 inches on the end because of the arc that it gives you. Most states only allow you to do to the ASC1 line or the top 6 inches of the windshield. So if you did 6 inches in the left or right corners, you'd end up with closer to like 2 or 3 inches in the middle, which is a completely unfunctional tint strip. And that's because the windshield has such an aggressive arc going from one end to the other to help it be a little bit more aerodynamic. Where I find the tint strip most functional is somewhere around 6 to 8 inches in the middle, but what ends up happening is that bleeds bleeds off the close, as you can see, twice the length of the ASE1 line on the left and right sides of the front windshield. It's not something that I'm really knocking Ford for, but I definitely wish that it was a little bit different than the way it is. It didn't used to be like this prior to the aluminum body redesign in 2015, and it's just one of those things that is a little obnoxious and annoying for those people that actually like to use functional tint. Last on my list of creature comforts that I think Ford missed with the Ford Raptor is the button that actually turns on the bed lighting in the inside of the bed. It's a great thing to have. I do actually love being able to turn on the lights and not have to whip out my phone, but the problem I have with this button is the texture and the ability to see it in the dark. So it's black and it fits in really well with the bed liner, and what ends up happening is at night when you open it with the factory Ford tonneau cover, which I have here, it's too dark in here to actually find the button, so you end up clicking. First gut instincts, you start here, you kind of start working your way up to the light, but it takes a while to find the button. I just wish they would have done something like a glow-in-the-dark button or a bezel that came on for 30 seconds after opening the tailgate for the first time. It would have been a really nice feature to have. And finally, guys, number 5 on my list of things that I hate about the Ford Raptor is the actual upfitter switches themselves. And I know before you jump all over me in the comment section that the upfitter switches are actually one of the most liked features about the Ford Raptor, but my grip is the lack of functionality that these upfitter switches actually provide for the hype that they are. The upfitter switches were first released in the 2005-2006 F-350 Super Duties, and actually in the F-650s prior to that, they had upfitter switches as well. Even in the redesigned aluminum body Super Duties, the first 4 switches are 20 amps and the last 2 switches are 40 amps. My problem with the upfitter switches in the Raptor is the fact that the first 2 are 15 amps, the second 2 are 10 amps, and the last 2 are 5 amps. So you really can't do a lot of heavy light running on these without hooking up an external relay and effectively using these as toggle switches. And for a truck that's designed specifically for off-roading, it would have been really nice had Ford provided you with upfitter switches that can actually run a full 40-inch light bar without requiring additional wiring or additional external relay. It just would have been nice to have. And there you have it, guys. Here's a list of the 5 things that I hate about the Ford F-150 Raptor after owning it for almost a full year. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and the content. My intention was to point out the little things that irk me, and if you plan on owning a Raptor, these are things that I definitely wanted people to consider. None of these are deal breakers, especially for me. I can't stress enough how amazing this truck is. Let me know in the comment sections if you have a Raptor and whether you agree with any of these items, or better yet, if there's anything that you think that belong on this list after your experiences. And as always, guys, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and help me work my way up Mount YouTube. For a new YouTuber, every single subscribe matters big time. And thanks again for stopping by, and I will catch you guys in the comment section below. Bye.